we've been working on. You gonna tell the people about your homework?
Where would you like me to
Oh,
start?
I don't know. Wherever you'd like.
River run.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so okay,
Alone away.
I'll tell them how strange it is what you're doing, right? So a lot of what we're doing in Draco Alchemicus.
I'll get my book.
Okay, go get your book. A lot because we get a lot of books, right? We're a class, right? It's the thing
Yeah.
is, I actually started Dragon Common Room with the idea that it was like a college common room. I actually spent some of my my graduate training in Cambridge, the Cambridge, not the other one, right? So it means I get to troll Milo about it when he says my college is older than yours, and I can say mine's older than yours, because I was actually, matriculated at Gonville and Keys College, and Gonville College was founded in 1348, which is older than Milo's. And in the Cambridge colleges, the Oxbridge colleges, they have common rooms where you go and hang out, right? And so the undergraduates have a junior common room, the graduate students have a middle common room. That was the one I was in. And the dons, the fellows, the professors have the senior common room, right? And so when I was trying to think about like what kind of telegram chat would I want to have, I wanted a common room. I wanted a place where we'd come together and talk about, the work that we were doing, and sort of think about things, right? I think you are literally the only person I've ever met in my life who showed up and immediately knew James Joyce was funny.
I don't know why. I mean, it strikes me hilarious, and I mean, it's a fun read.
Yeah, so this is Mel the snowboarder shows up, and she's been listening to McLuhan lectures, which we've also been talking. Kiltz and I are going to talk a lot about McLuhan because we've been doing a lot of that. And McLuhan, Marshall McLuhan, media guy, talks a lot about Joyce. He has one of his books, the one that actually gives the theme of the global village. It has marginalia that are all from Finnegan's Wake, right? I read McLuhan's book on the global village, and I skipped all the marginalia because it's Finnegan's Wake. Mel starts listening to McLuhan videos and decides she better read it. And I'm like, who does that? Right?
It
This is I what I say this is it's the magic of, well, hopefully me as a professor, but it's the magic of
truly.
the common, the internet, right? Which McLuhan predicted. It's this kind of flowing, streaming together of all of these narratives and stories, and that we are starting to realize that actually McLuhan was right, that Joyce was in Finnegan's Wake, in effect predicting the internet.
Alone away, alas, unloved, along the river
Keep reading. Do a little reading. Let's read a little bit. Read the read it read the river into the stream. How's that?
Well, I just gave it away. People might not know that first line off the bat.
Now, well, read it again. Then they need to learn it. You have to give the people something. We got to get them reading Joyce. How are they going to understand Draco Alchemicus if they can't read Finnegan's
You
Wake?
won't know this is the bitter end. Away alone, alas, unloved, along the river run, past Eve and Adam, from swerve of shore to bend of bay, brings us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Hoth Castle and environs.
Keep going.
Like it's really crazy
Go,
after
go.
that.
Read it.
Or should I just skip to the exciting part?
No, just read the opening.
I go into the character you have to
Mm-hmm,
see.
mm-hmm. Now we get Johnny
Yeah,
Depp
so
as Jack Sparrow meets the Mad
yeah,
Hatter.
this is my attempt at least. Sir Tristram Violet de Morse Frover, the short sea, had passing for re-arrived from North America or America on the side of scraggy isthmus of Europe Minor to wield or fight his consulate war. That one you have to see but
I
with your
don't know.
eyes.
It's like the thing is, when you're reading this in your head, you're clearly getting all of those voices, and that I realized when you were saying that. Um,
Welcome aboard.
welcome aboard. It's like everybody thinks of I mean, so I will say one day I'm going to get my brother on this, right? Because he's actually a Finnegan's Wake scholar. And of course I showed him Mel's notes and he was like freaking out going, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Um, that everybody thinks of Joyce and literature generally, right? It's like thinking about what we're doing with Dragon Common Room and the Iambic Pentameter, and it's like, who reads poetry? It's too hard. And I'm like, we're writing stories about bears. Go on a treasure hunt and beat up seals. No, they didn't beat up these seals. They just sort of bowled them over, right? It's like we have lost our joy in our own culture, in our our Christianity, in just life, right? And it's so much of what I wanted to do. I mean, I came to Telegram with Milo, right? Because Milo got kicked off everything, and we got kicked off Facebook, and we all traveled over to Telegram with him. And Milo's motto before me, and I adopted it from him, right? Which he got it from Chesterton, that Risus et bellum, right? The laughter and war. That if we are not in joy in our adventures and our love for Christ, then we're missing the we're missing the boat. We're gonna get a lot of boat metaphors here, right? And Joyce, he grew up Catholic. In Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, there's a lot about his Catholicism and his wrestling with the faith and things like that. I think we're wrestling like Joyce did with the mythology, with the dream world, the feeling of what kind of world are we actually in, what sort of story are we in, and the way in which I'm not reading Finnegan's Wake straight. I got a guide because I'm lost, because Mel's a river guide. She knows how to go on this river. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm gonna read Anthony Burgess first. Read Joyce, which is a pun in itself. R-E Joyce, like in rejoice, but also concerning Joyce. Learning that
Brilliant.
Yeah, I know. Learning that Anthony Burgess was actually the screenwriter for Jesus of Nazareth, which is Zeffirelli's great 1970s miniseries, television miniseries, which was literally the two stories that I grew up with most, Jesus Christ Superstar and Jesus of Nazareth. And to find out that Burgess is a great reader of Joyce, and that Burgess sees Joyce as fundamentally funny, right? It's humor, it's joy, it's further down on that page that you were reading, Mel, that gets to the Humpty Dumpty, right? And the
Do you want me to read the thunder?
oh yeah.
I don't know if I could really pronounce the Viconian thunder.
The Viconian thunder, you say that so calmly as if everybody knows what that is. Tell them what Viconian thunder is.
Truthfully, I don't know that I understand. But other than it is like the pause, it's the guttural, what's the gestalt of creation, perhaps.
Okay.
Is what I grasped from it, but I could be far off.
That's lovely. I mean, so I can give, if you want, I can tell them the academic.
Yeah, like I don't have the definition in my book.
Well, that's because you're actually in the stream. You're just reading it. I'm going and getting all these footnotes and stuff. I'm incapable of simply jumping in the water. I mean, I'm so footnotey. I'm so professor. So Vico, Giambattista Vico, he has a theory of ages of history, which is what Finnegan's Wake is actually mapped onto. There's the heroic age, there's the divine age, the heroic age, the human age, and then the recurrence. And so the myth that Finnegan's Wake is playing off of is meant to be arcing across this Viconian structure from the divine, the sort of mythological, godlike opening, which is about half the book or half the chapters, and then the heroic, and then the human. But then what Mel did for you at the beginning there is she's read the last sentence of the book wraps into the first, right? So he's trying to show by way of the actual fragment at the beginning and end that the book itself wraps, right? You can kind of jump in anywhere. It sort of doesn't make any difference where you start or stop because it's streaming. You're in the river, right? So when you say the thunder, and that those thunders apparently come at significant points, and there's whole like academic papers written about when the Viconian thunder hits, but you were right. Your version was quicker, and that's what Joyce also does. He like compresses everything into one word, so each word is like this condensation of 18 different ideas, which is why people can write long essays on it. But they should just be writing it.
in particular, McLuhan like jumping to page 69.
Okay, I didn't know about that. Tell me about that.
There's not a lot of information about like as to why. I think it was just kind of like, it was a number that he liked to get that gestalt reaction because people, you know, it was a catchy number of his era.
Oh, he just no, because
And
I actually did. There's a guy who runs a blog that's called Page 99, and he invited me to do a thing
oh,
on my book back when it came out in 2017. And his is somebody I can't remember who it was saying you can know the whole of a book by looking at page 99. And so this guy in his blog, basically getting authors to say a little bit about their book by saying look at page 99 and see what you find there. Well, let's read page 69 of Finnegan's Wake then.
now by memory, inspired, turn wheel again to the hole of the wall, where giant lion fronts the pin Piluniamore. There was once upon a wall, and a hoog wall was, and such a wall hold did exist. Or ire in Erlund, or you dare hares, or you diggin mosses, or your hoard of orts and oriots. It is just strange words. Like I'm not even sure if
Oh, well, I don't. I mean, who knows how to pronounce? I mean,
oriots or
yeah, they're
garble.
like when you started reading. You said we in the chat we've been talking a lot about Johnny Depp because of the trial, right? But all, and then I started watching all the pirate movies again, and carried on to watch Alice in Wonderland and some of his other character movies, and um, we were realizing that many of his characters have this sort of Joycean quality of nonsense that is in fact revelatory. Yeah, and I mean, there's a sort of funny thing of saying, Joyce is doing it this high literary, he knows all these languages, he smashes them all together, but that he's actually also playing off of common folk tunes, and they're not really high myth in necessarily in the story. It's here what Earwicker is his sort of real name because he's like all these names, right? um
Yeah, he has so many.
he's lots of different names because he's kind of every man, right? Here comes every man, everyone in it. But again, it's all sort of the way we experience Telegram, right? That what do you do with all the memes and the jostling together and the here comes someone who's I mean, think about it. It's exactly like Telegram, right? How many times do certain people in our chat change their names, right? And sometimes they change their profile pictures every day, and sometimes they change. Sometimes others, the characters are a little more stable and they stick around with the same characters. But there's this literal fluidity that Joyce is trying to capture because it's not really a plot. There's no plot. It's the kind of meaning that you get when you're asleep in a dream. And the Finnegan's Wake, the big sort of scholarly thing is recognized. There's no apostrophe in the title because it's not, the possessive Finnegan wake, the funeral celebration of his life. It's Finnegan's wake. So Finnegan's wake up, or is it, right? And that the reason it cycles the way that it does is because it's got dream logic, right? So it does, in fact, it's like Alice in Wonderland or Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Are you in a nightmare? Are you in a, what kind of dream are you in? And Joyce writing this in the early 20th century was already picking up on the way that meaning was going to be fractured like that. And here we are now living in Telegram and fractured in all of those ways.
The album by the Irish Rovers who wrote about this song, Finnegan's Wake, it is part of somebody's wake because at the end, all the libations fall on him. At the end, everyone's drinking and they spill all their beer and whiskey or whatever and baptize Finnegan, and he wakes up.
Well, there you go.
And he has a Lazarus moment.
And there is a way that Joyce is trying to say that all of humanity needs to wake up.